Hello, this is Seth Winning and welcome to another AFI 100 Greatest American Films List Review. Today I will be reviewing Apocalypse Now. Apocalypse Now occupies the 28th position on the 1998 list and the 30th position on the 2007 list. Basically, Apocalypse Now is a retelling of the book Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. It was set in Africa. This one is set in Vietnam. And it's about a descent into hell. Basically, that's what you should expect. It stars Marlon Brando as Colonel Kurtz. He's a decorated colonel, he's a decorated warrior, he's one of the best soldiers we have had. Stars Martin Sheen as Captain Willard. Martin Sheen was most famously in The West Wing where he was president. It stars a little bit of Harrison Ford as Colonel Lucas, who's the one who sends Captain Willard into the jungle after Kurtz. Basically, Captain Willard has been contracted by the Army and probably the CIA to kill Captain Kurtz because Kurtz has gone completely off the reservation. Other people are Lieutenant Colonel Kilgore, he's a cavalryman. He's played by Robert Duvall. On the boat, there's a boat captain called Clean, who is a very young Lawrence Fishburne, who was in Boys in the Hood. There's also a little bit of Dennis Hopper when you get that Kurtz camp. He's a Kurtz convert. He's a photojournalist. When Colonel Lucas is asking Captain Willard to go after Kurtz, he wanted Kurtz exterminated because Kurtz has completely gone off the reservation in that he has made his own little kingdom and he's just going around there being barbaric. He's like devolved into some kind of an animal, and the military doesn't look fondly upon one of their most decorated officers becoming a native. They like their decorated officers to, be the face of the military, not an embarrassment. So it's basically a suicide mission for Captain Willard because he's already dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder. He is thinking that this is going to be his last mission or whatever this is. He's either gonna die or be court-martialed. And it follows the story of just going up the river, and it's like a river, the further you go up, it's the closer to death you will become. If we are talking about what this film means to society in 1979, it was made 4 years after we got out of the war in 1975. And unlike past wars, World War I, World War II, and Korean War, Vietnam is currently seen as an embarrassment. We do not even acknowledge the soldiers who fought in Vietnam as being the same as people of World War II, where they were called the greatest generation because they won World War II and they won the Korean War. Vietnam, we don't even mention it. We call those people the baby boomers. Baby boomers meaning they were born directly after World War II. So we're giving credit to World War II for these people's existence. We're not calling them Vietnam heroes. We're not calling them, with the same esteem as we look upon World War II. And it's really unfair. We really need to fix this because it wasn't their fault or anyone's fault that the war went the way it did. It was actually our government's fault that the war went the way it did because we as America, as the government, we thought this would be another Korean War where we would stop communism from advancing down a peninsula, and we didn't understand what Vietnam was, how it was different from Korea, how it was different from any other war we've ever been in, and therefore we lost. We shouldn't have been in Vietnam because we got into it by a treaty trap, like everyone in World War I. Well, we had a treaty with France because they were our first ally, and that helped us won the Revolutionary War for us. And we've always been close with France, and when France got in trouble in Vietnam, we stepped right in without knowing what this war would mean, what the odds we were facing, and the whole blame, I think, was falling on the soldiers who fought there, who didn't want to be there in the first place. They wanted to go to college, they wanted to learn and live life the way everyone else was living, but we forced them into the war, and we scapegoated the blame onto them. And Kurtz is like Vietnam in this film, where he's an embarrassment. He's an embarrassment because he's not behaving the way we want a soldier to behave. So we gotta kill him, bury him, and no one will know about his existence. And that's really the way we view Vietnam, because when Nixon ended the war was not over. We were just losing badly. We just pulled out, and he declared victory. We pulled out. We left all the South Vietnamese to bear the consequences that we helped create, and it was terrible all around. By 1979, no one wanted to think about Vietnam. No one wanted to acknowledge that we lost the war, and we just wanted to sweep it under the rug and go on with our lives and become yuppies, and it was the dawn of the 1980s, and Ronald Reagan was going to win the nomination and the presidency, and we'd rather look forward than to look backwards on a disappointing war. It's really sad. What Kurtz was actually doing was he was so into warrior mode that he abandoned civilization, because the only way to truly feel alive was to be king of the jungle, and knowing that you were on the precipice of failure because you were on top of everyone, ruling like a king, but at any moment someone could take you out. Someone could just kill you and you would be gone. And that's, as anti-society, anti-civilization, as you could get. Basically, this film was about the triumph of society over wildness, and Kurtz represented wildness and Vietnam, and this was us conquering the whole Vietnam question and stifling it and not dealing with it. And I don't think we've ever dealt with it very well since. But the thing you should take away from this, or the thing I took away from it, is it's society versus anarchy, like Lord of the Flies. But in that, we also need to acknowledge what we have with the loss, and we need to not let people fall behind, and just because they fought in an unpopular war, through no fault of their own, just wrong place, wrong time. It's an amazing film. It's just almost, in places, almost like a pseudo music video, but it's very violent, it's very primal. If you're a kid, you probably shouldn't see it because it's very, very dark. It goes to the most primal, evil human emotions, and it's in places almost like a horror film. That's why I'm filming it for October, because I want to do a whole thing where we do horror and suspense films for October, because that's basically the Halloween month. So if you like this film, please like and subscribe and hang so you can watch more from me and watch this film. It's one of the greatest films by Francis Ford Coppola, and have a good day.